Good morning. I'm Commissioner Ed Rothstein. It's Thursday, June 9th. I feel like it's been a long time. I guess we didn't have open session last week. Got a handful of things to do. As you can see up on the dais, we have three of us, so we do have a quorum. Commissioner Wance and Commissioner Boucher are out this morning, but that is not going to slow us down from getting a handful of things done. We have, I won't say a lot of Priority Carol, but a significant amount, and to share with the community regarding Priority Carol. And what I'd like to do is first, I apologize. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Go with that. Sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I apologize about that. And actually what got me thinking about it is I'm still thinking about Uvalde and the atrocities. So let's start with Priority Carol. Before we go into the formal portions of the proclamations, let's see what's on our minds. Commissioner Frazier?
Okay, so not this first, this.
Not that
Okay.
first.
All right, couple of things, been a while, so there's a little bit here. I went to a Eagle Scout Court of Honor in the past 2 weeks. And what made this unusual is that there were 3 Eagle Scouts at the same time from 3 Eagle Scouts. Is this working? Come on now. We okay?
Matt, are we good? What's
We're
going
good.
on?
I'm okay to go? Okay. 3 Eagle Scouts from the same troop at the same time. So it was Eagle Scout Nick Henderson, Zach Barnes, and Aiden Eccles. Congratulations to all 3 of them. I've been doing this, obviously, for quite a while as a commissioner, and before that as a city councilman, going to Eagle Scout ceremonies. This might be the first time I've ever gone to 3 from the same troop at the same time. I can't exactly remember, to be honest with you. I know I've gone to 2 before, but it could possibly be the first one. Congratulate those young men for a tremendous job. And each one of them have someone else in their family that has already been an Eagle Scout. And the one, and I don't remember which one, sorry I didn't write it down, is like the 3rd generation of Eagle Scout. His father was an Eagle Scout and his grandfather was an Eagle Scout. So that's just tremendous. Sorry, I don't remember which one it was. That's the way it is. Had a Board of Education meeting last night. 2 big things that were decided is the health curriculum for the high schools were put out there. And the way it works, the health curriculum that came down from the state of Maryland is the health curriculum that will be used in Health 1 and Health 2 in high schools. If the students or parents decide to opt out of the state curriculum, there is a alternate curriculum that was put together by the Family Life Committee from Carroll County. So you can opt out from the state curriculum, but you have to take something. So it's a Family Life curriculum that you'll be taking, the one that was made from Carroll County. So I think that's a win-win for everyone. So you could do either one that you wanted to do. So that was a good thing. Second thing that was decided last night, what's been quite controversial, is the flag policy. The flag policy was passed, which means basically, but there are some exceptions, the only flags that are allowed in Carroll County Public Schools will be American flag, Carroll County flag, and a Maryland flag. There are some exceptions. If you're teaching a unit about Spain, you can have a Spanish flag and that kind of stuff. But other than that, that's basically it. I went to the ribbon cutting for the musical called Niagara, the musical. It was held in front of the library at Westminster branch, and the reason it was is because 3 Westminster high school students wrote the musical. So they had a ribbon cutting there. They sang some songs, and it's going to be performed down in D.C. And I don't have the date, sorry. Anyway, it's going to be performed down in D.C. But if you go online, Niagara, like Niagara Falls, NiagaraTheMusical.com, you can find out the dates and where it's going to be and that kind of thing. And it is kind of, I guess, interesting, neat, great, however you want to say it, that students from Westminster High School, past students, wrote this. and it was pretty good. I was impressed. Also, I don't think we've been here since Memorial Day, have we? I don't even know.
I don't think
I
so.
went to the Westminster. I was marching in the Westminster Memorial Day Parade. Very, very well attended. It was a great parade, and then they had a ceremony afterwards at the cemetery. I think went really, really well. Great job. I also was in the Union Bridge 150th anniversary parade. I can't remember when it was, but like a week ago or something of that sort. And that's all I have. Thanks.
You're right, I don't think we have either. Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's all good.
Oh, I'm not here.
Typical, I forget to shut it off, so.
Commissioner Weaver.
Okay, first of all, we're going back, I guess a couple of weeks. We had the War Memorial speeches, I guess, for Memorial Day in Hampstead, and that was a really, a lot of people turned out for that event. Really a huge event, and as always, prior to the parade in Westminster, that was very well attended. Couple graduations here between time. We've had Man Val, which I have to say, that was a very efficient graduation. An hour and a half for 326 students to go across the stage from start to finish, and it was very efficient this year, so I don't know what they did differently, but it was great. Gerstel Academy graduation, Commissioner Fraser and I both attended that. It was a great graduation as always. And this is farmers market season. I cut the ribbon, or part of the ribbon cutting, at Hampstead Farmers Market, but across the county, they're everywhere. So get out and buy fresh, homegrown produce if you can. One of the major events, though, I tell you, a humbling event, was the Hogs and Heroes kickoff at Reese Volunteer Fire Department. They did a ride out through Pretty Boy in honor of Bobby Jones to raise funds for his memorial scholarship, and I don't know how many thousands of dollars they raised, but it was really, to see that many bikes in there and just 150 people show up to go through that ride. It was unbelievable. And the Sheriff's Department really did a great job blocking the roads for them so they could all go through intersections from here to Pretty Boy. And you know, some of those roads are paved cow paths, so those guys on bikes really had to be careful and be safe. So anyway, I wanted to thank Katie Townsley and Reese Fire Department for putting that together. And here coming up, Carroll County Farm Museum presents Food Truck, June 12th, this Sunday Fun Day, noon to 5 at the Carroll County Farm Museum. Food truck contest, live entertainment, free children's activities. We have a member back here for children's activities, vendor marketplace, and more. Free admission. So June 12th, Food Truck Sunday, Sunday Fun Day at the Carroll County Farm Museum. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And a few things. One is we're going to be listening, having a discussion with our economic development team on workforce development and the Workforce Innovation Act for Carroll County. Just let you know that Carroll County continues to remain, I guess, the best of the rest in Maryland, with a 2.4 unemployment rate. So we should all be very proud of the work that's being done for unemployment. A couple other things. I attended the Veterans VA Claims Clinic that was held down in South Carroll at the Senior Center. I don't know if, Chris, if you have a picture or two, but Deputy Secretary Finn also attended, along with the Secretary of Labor's team. It was amazing. I think, and Gina, you'll get the opportunity to share some of the details. About 125 came through, give or take. And what was so awesome about it, and not that picture, except for those two, Deputy Secretary Finn, who is just amazing and always looking at Carroll County, and Janice in the middle is a Gold Star woman. I worked a lot with her, supporting her. Her son who was a captain, was killed in action in 2006. And I've done a lot of work with her on Fort Meade, so I've known her for quite some time. And she was part of the welcoming committee, always with a smile and an incredible amount of strength. But the VA clinic, what was amazing about it is how, if you notice from some of those pictures, there's nobody in the middle sitting in waiting. Everything was by appointment, so they were able to walk in the door and get checked in and go right to an appointment. And when you have 15 tables, give or take, of going through appointments, I mean, talk about success. And I was so impressed. And then going through the healthcare and all the benefits, having the ability to check in and go through the different benefits that are available for our veterans and the families. Once again, Carroll County shows what success looks like in taking care of our veterans, and that's a large part to Celine and the entire team, from Gina on down and Bobby and everyone. I just really impressed, and Secretary Owings recognizes it and sent out as well his appreciation for all we do. Let's see. Was there something? Oh, since we did mention it's been a while, Memorial Day, I was honored and humbled to be invited to the Tawnytown Memorial Day, and from Mayor Wance and council member or pro tem, whatever we call those guys, Mayor Pro Tem Joe Vigliotti, and very, again, honored, humbled to share a few thoughts and words to that group. Graduations, I think all of us participated and attended, and are always, honored to attend those and see these young generation that just do so well. That's the Memorial Day event. So, okay.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was hot, but it was nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's get into a few of the formal Priory Carols events. I'm going to hold off on one until about 10 o'clock, and they're going to come, but why don't we start with World Elder Abuse Awareness Day?
Who has that one?
Who does have that? Oh, you have that one.
Weaver.
I think this is elder abuse. We do have a proclamation today for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, and I'll read that before we have anybody say anything more. Whereas June 15th, 2022 marks World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, and its annual recognition promotes a better understanding of abuse and neglect of older adults. And whereas more than 46,000 adults over the age of 60 call Carroll County their home in 2020, this number is expected to exceed 55,000 by 2025. Right here, too. The Carroll County government and network of partners are committed to creating an age-friendly community where people of all ages are able to thrive and achieve optimal living. And whereas the Carroll County Board of Commissioners recognizes the importance of taking action to ensure that social structures exist, allowing older adults to retain community and social connections, whereby reducing the likelihood of abuse, neglect, and whereas Carroll County Bureau of Aging and Disabilities is committed to ensuring that the county's older adults are supported so they may continue to live as independently as possible and contribute to the life and vibrancy of the communities. And whereas older adults serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and vital participating members of the Carroll County community, and deserve to be treated with dignity, respect, and to be protected from abuse, neglect, and now, therefore, we, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2022 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Carroll County, and urge all communities to recognize and celebrate older adults and their ongoing contributions to the success and vitality of the county. Adopted this second day in June 2022, and signed by 5 commissioners.
Very well.
At my age, what do you expect?
Okay,
Anyway,
so
Gina.
I think we have a handful of folks that would like to share some of their thoughts. Miss Gina?
Yep, good morning. Thank you
Morning.
very much. And joining me is Gail Gannon, who's the program manager of our long-term care ombudsman program. We'd also like to recognize Dean Brewer, the chief investigator with the Carroll County State's Attorney's Office, and Michelle Jacobs, the adult services supervisor with Carroll County Department of Social Services. The purpose of WEAD, which Commissioner Weaver mentioned, is recognized on June 15th every year, is to provide an opportunity for communities around the world to promote a better understanding of abuse and neglect of older adults by raising awareness of the cultural, social, economic, and demographic processes affecting elder abuse and neglect. Unfortunately, most of our most vulnerable older adults are typically the targets of either physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional and verbal abuse, or financial exploitation. In order to protect our older adult population, we must continue to bring attention to this very important issue and educate our communities. This year, the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program, in partnership with DSS and the State's Attorney's Office and the Register of Wills, is focusing on educating individuals on financial exploitation of older adults. And Gail's going to share some additional information about the events that have been planned and that are taking place.
Okay.
Thank you, Gina, and thank you, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today to once again recognize World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. This year marks the 16th anniversary of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Each year, WEAD gains momentum around the world as communities come together to raise awareness about abuse and neglect of older adults. This year in Carroll County, we are hosting 5 WEAD events, one at each of our 5 local senior and community centers. On Tuesday, we celebrated at the Westminster Senior Center. Today we'll be at the South Carroll Senior and Community Center. And next week we'll be at North Carroll Senior Center on Tuesday, Mount Airy Senior Center on Wednesday, and the Tawnytown Senior Center on Thursday. In addition to free document shredding and a catered lunch, our events this year include a screening of a short version of the documentary film Last Will and Embezzlement, featuring film star Andy Rooney. He and others share stories about how they fell victim to crimes of financial exploitation. But we are so fortunate this year to have Dean Brewer, Chief of the Investigations Unit in the Carroll County State's Attorney's Office, and Michelle Jacobs, Adult Services Supervisor with the Carroll County Department of Social Services, join us at each of these 5 events to talk to community members about how criminals attempt to take advantage of older adults and what we can do to stop it. We'll discuss factors that can increase one's vulnerability to financial exploitation and the steps that each one of us can take to protect ourselves. I'm so glad that Dean and Michelle are able to join us here today, because I really feel that they should be recognized not only for what they're doing this week to help us celebrate World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, but for what they do each and every day to protect older adults in our community. Dean and Michelle's teams have been faithful and tireless partners in helping older adults live safely in the community.
Oh, thank you. It's about being positive, but also priority. And I'd like to, if appropriate, take the time and as priority to anyone else who wants to share some of their thoughts, because I know we have a handful of folks out here. And if you do, just come up to the microphone behind you, or in front of you. I'm sorry.
Well, good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I appreciate the fact that I'm being recognized along with this, but it's so important to me. The past 15 years, I've been involved in the investigations, not only through the Maryland Attorney General's office, but through the local Carroll County State's Attorney's Office, involved in investigation and giving presentations on abuse and neglect of vulnerable adults. What we have found over the years is obviously these numbers increase, and my biggest concern is that the older population continues to grow. And all we're looking for, and anything that we do, is the dignity of life and the last years that an elderly person have in their lifetime, and especially here in Carroll County. I grew up here, and I know that how things have grown. The assisted livings pop up and nursing homes and all. And so it's real important that we know that what's kind of going on in these facilities, and that we stay on top of it, and we also have the resources, which we do currently have, for the vulnerable population. We need to get the vulnerable population, though, sometimes the resources out to them, because it's easy for us to say that just go to this particular website and you can find information. There are a lot of vulnerable people out there that do not have access to a website or a computer at all. So we need to understand that these vulnerable people are, again, just that, and we need to really be looking out for them. But I want to thank you for all this and the proclamation today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, please.
Good morning. I just want to say thanks for having us. I have a couple of my team here, investigators. We are out in the community. We are investigating abuse, neglect, exploitation of vulnerable adults, and we just really appreciate the support from the Bureau of Aging and the State's Attorney's Office and working with us in all of these investigations. And just thank you. We really appreciate it.
Do you want to introduce who's on your team?
This is Ann Gilbert and Susan Beard.
Thank you.
Thank
From,
you.
I apologize, just real
Carroll
quick.
County Department of Social
Right.
Services.
No, that I know. But from social services, do you have the resources necessary to do what is needed here in Carroll County?
We have great partnerships. Funding is always an issue for us, but that's a federal issue, so I'm not sure. But yes, we have great resources with our partners, and we're able to serve the seniors as best as we can.
Okay, sounds like an interesting answer, but it sounds like you mitigate some of the funding through the partnerships.
Yes.
Okay. And this is tough because, not putting you on the spot, but all of us, we don't have enough money
Yes.
to do all the things we want to do. So in lieu of that, how do we maximize the partnerships and the value of those partnerships? And I think I apologize keeping you up there, but Gina, you've done a great job in doing that. Any further thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just like to point out, and I sound like a broken record because in any place that I'm at that I have the opportunity to speak, but we're so fortunate in this county with our partnerships. There's a lot of collaboration and communication, and we know who to reach out to. We know we can reach out to them if we have a concern, if we need to report suspected abuse of any type, and that goes from Department of Social Services, the State's Attorney's Office as well. And so we're very fortunate in this community, which only at the end of the day benefits the people that we're trying to protect.
Yeah, I agree. Any other?
I just want to also mention that not only is Ann Gilbert a investigator, she's also a city council person for City of Westminster.
And is always engaged in a lot of the things we do. So really appreciate it, especially with the veterans programs as well. So thank you. And anything else?
No, this is a great thing I think we're doing. The investigators appreciate what you do. There's a lot of people get caught in scams and things out here. So I think it's time for a photo op.
It's a team approach. So
With the
let's-
investigative
all the
team,
come on up.
everybody.
He lives forever.
He's a future elder.
Thank you.
You're not sure about this one.
Thanks, Gina. All right. Oop. Knock me off. Go ahead.
Yeah, Gina, you don't get to go anywhere.
I'll stay.
So again, we had such a great inaugural celebratory event for our veterans. Unfortunately, as you and a few others may know, I was not attending, but heard nothing but great things. And again, Deputy Secretary Finn, I was with the other day, said just what a fantastic event put together, and some of the opportunities for people to gain from it, just from knowledge and some beer and some food. There was also some gift cards. So
Yes.
I think Commissioner Frazier.
Okay, on May 15th, Carroll County government hosted its inaugural Veterans Celebration at the Farm Museum, honoring all who have served and their families. During the celebration, veterans were invited to enter a raffle to win a $100 gift card from a local restaurant, happens to be Johansson's. We are excited to welcome one of our Carroll County veterans, retired Navy Commander Gregory Diffio. I know I messed that up, but
Adenofi.
Adenofi, I was so close. Who is the winner of the gift card raffle. The Board of County Commissioners would like to thank you for your service, which we understand you proudly report was 28 years, 9 months, and 9 days in the U.S. Navy, both active and reserve. So, can
Cool.
Greg come up and give us a gift card?
Yeah, did you want to say something about attending the event, and
Adenofi.
what are your thoughts?
Sure. I wanted to thank, first of all, good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for the event. It was very impressive. It was very casual. A lot of information was provided to veterans. As a side note, I'm the director of the United States Selective Service, so
Good, okay.
I've talked to some of the folks there, and I'd like to get a table there next year to just provide awareness of the existence of the Selective Service and what it does for the state and for the United States. So I appreciate the again, I appreciate the event, and I appreciate the gift card. So.
Yeah, gift cards are always nice. So why don't we get a photo and go from there?
They didn't tell you have to take the commissioners out.
That I did not know.
That's a given.
Thank you.
I know. It was very well attended. I was very impressed. It was a good time.
We did it in, 2.5 months? 3 months?
This is an amazing event.
Our committee who put this together, Gene, you were part of that, and the Veterans Advisory Council, all the American Legions, VFWs, they just did a tremendous job. The whole community came together to make that event, so I just want to thank everybody.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hear what we were saying,
And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
but that's okay.
Did it again.
I think it's the sleeves.
Okay. And we are still on Priority Carol. And let's let the small gentleman from the right corner with a small trophy come on up. And that's Mr. Chris Hine, who is our Director of Department of Land Resource Management, to talk about the MDQI Award for Langdon Stormwater Facility.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Thank you.
So, do you have like a chihuahua in that thing? Is that, now you got a really big dog, right?
Yes, no, he would not fit in that.
No, but is that like his food bowl?
Yes.
He'd be happy.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. So, as you know, the Bureau of Resource Management is responsible for constructing stormwater management facilities to improve water quality in the county, in the state, and the Chesapeake Bay. And so one of those projects that we completed recently was the Langdon Stormwater Management Facility here in Westminster. And I've been before you and talked about that in the past. It had a number of unique challenges, one of which most notably was the transportation of a large amount of material that had to leave the site, and we used we hired Maryland Midland Railroad to haul that material to New Windsor. So last year, the county is a member of the County Engineer Association of Maryland, SEAM. It's a professional organization of county engineers. And last year, I submitted an application for the project for an award. And so I was before you about 6 months ago, happy to announce that SEAM awarded us Project of the Year for the project. So SEAM is a member of a much larger organization called MDQI, the Maryland Quality Initiative, which is made up of about 14 different professional organizations, including all of the Maryland DOT transportation modals, so Maryland State Highway Administration, Port Authority, Toll Authority, et cetera. It also includes Federal Highway Administration, SEAM, as I mentioned, a number of professional private organizations, and consulting engineers, et cetera. And so all of those organizations that are members of MDQI, they all submit projects, and as part of the conference, which was last month, they're all evaluated. And I'm pleased to announce that our project was the grand winner of all of the projects submitted for projects under $5 million. So they awarded us this fantastic trophy. We unfortunately do not get to keep it. It has on the base all of the previous winners, and our name has been added to it. And so we get to hold on to it for a year and showcase it. And then we have to return it for next year's award. But it's really nice to be recognized by our peers from around the state and at both the state and local level of the innovative project that we had here in Carroll County, which really was a Carroll County project. All of the players are all native to Carroll County. So obviously we had to work with the City of Westminster and the town of New Windsor. The design engineer was Carroll Land Services, who's here local. The contractor who built the facility is Highland Turf, HTI. And obviously Maryland Midland is here local. They run out of Union Bridge. And then the contractor that received the material and took care of it in New Windsor is Stambaugh Incorporated, another local firm. So very much a local Carroll County project, and it's really exciting to be recognized by all of our peers. And just a final note, we were approached yesterday by a national publication that's interested in running a national news article, a 5-page spread about the project. So we're currently talking about that with them, and so we may get national recognition for the project. Wow. So.
And you get a little trophy, too.
Yes, we also get a little trophy that we get to keep.
Right.
Yes.
You get that little baby one.
Yes. So happy to answer any questions, but otherwise I'd love a photograph to commemorate.
Sure. You didn't bring the little one here.
No, I didn't. I'd be happy to run downstairs and get it.
Yeah, no need to run. Okay.
The photo.
Hey, wow.
Thank you.
I'm used to holding large trophies.
It looks heavy, too.
Man, trophy like this, we didn't have to.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Sure.
Congratulations.
Okay, let's keep moving.
That is a great trophy.
That is an amazing trophy. Did you ever win a trophy that big? You got your medal this
Say
big.
not that heavy, but taller.
Okay. Governor's Summer Youth Program Grant Award, FY22, FY23 Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. Denise, Heather, come on down.
Good morning, Commissioners. Roberta.
Good morning. How you all doing this morning?
Good morning. So yes, we're here today to talk to you about the Carroll County Workforce Development grants, for some year-round grants as well as some summer grants. And Heather's going to go over the details of those. But before we got into that, I wanted to just give you a quick update for our ongoing recruitment events that we do. So for the month of June, we're doing the Premier Virtual online platform, which gives the opportunity for businesses as well as citizens to log on to the platform. The businesses can showcase their business and provide opportunities that they have for job openings, as well as then the citizens can sign on And in the platform, there's an opportunity for them to chat and for the citizens to be able to upload their resumes. The businesses can look at those. They can have chat sessions within the platform, and then set up either initial interviews in the platform and also then, offer job opportunities. So we've been doing that once a month, but for June, we're doing a 24/7 access where the businesses can sign up and they can get into the platform, throughout the month. And then there's a specific event on the 21st of June to have a live event where they all can talk. So it's a great opportunity for people to continue to recruit. We all know there's a lot of job openings out there, and this gives businesses an opportunity to interface with the job seekers and get the information out there about their jobs and about their company. So just wanted to give you a quick update on that. And I don't know if there's any questions about that, but it's something that's been very successful over the last several months. Obviously, with the difficulty of doing in-person events, this gives an ongoing activity and opportunity. So. Okay, so Heather's going to talk about some of the grants that we have upcoming for the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act and the Summer Youth grants.
Good morning, Commissioners. So we are seeking approval for our grants for the upcoming year. That includes our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, our Summer Youth Connection Grant Award, our ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act funds, and also a 3-year memo with the Division of Rehab Services. So a little background, our summer youth program, a longstanding program that we're funded through the state of Maryland. It provides 6 weeks of employment for 15 local youth ages 15 to 18 who have potential barriers to employment. Participants are placed with local employers, and during that 6-week period, they will also learn essential work and life skills, participate in group and team building activities. One of the activities we're doing this summer we're pretty excited about, we're going to work with Carroll County Public Schools, and we're going to do a hand tools session. A lot of times youth don't have mentors in their homes to teach how to use basic hand tools, and so this is a cooperative agreement we're doing, and we're really excited about it.
Now, that sounds, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Potential barriers, define
Potential barriers can be low income, it can be disability, it can be parenting as a youth, being in the foster care system, going through juvenile services. So
sounds like a very diverse community.
It is. It's a diverse population. So just giving everybody an opportunity to get into the workforce, to have that first experience with an employer.
Okay.
Next, I'm going to jump down to our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. This is a longstanding grant that we have. This is through the U.S. Department of Labor that comes through Maryland Department of Labor. It's prescribed to our local workforce area based on a formulary. The funding serves low-income adults with identified barriers to employment, dislocated workers, and disconnected youth that are up to age 24. Again, some of the perceived barriers can be low income, lack of education, disability, lack of transportation. So there are a lot of opportunities. Displaced homemakers who have been at home traditionally and not been the breadwinner, and then their situation changes and they need to return to the workforce. So it serves a wide variety of people as well. Our American Rescue Act funds, we will receive the second disbursement of that. This year it's a little different. The Department of Labor is actually going to monitor that. Before it came, the first disbursement came directly into the workforce, into the county. And now Maryland Labor is going to be overseeing the second disbursement for all the local workforce areas. Again, it's a formulary that's prescribed to our area. These funds have to be obligated by December 2024 and expended by June 30, 2026. Our focus with this second disbursement of funding is going to be occupational training for in-demand industry. You've seen examples of that with the welding and the CDL trainings that we've done, but we're working with the community college to look at other ways to leverage our partnership. It's also, we're looking at supporting local businesses for worker retention and upskilling. Very important with all the vacancies people are experiencing. We want to keep people in the workforce and help businesses to support that. And our third initiative is going to be the development of apprenticeship and on-the-job training opportunities with a focus on youth entering the workforce. We have the lowest unemployment rate in the state right now, as you addressed, Commissioner Rothstein. So we are challenged to have people enter the workforce. So I think it makes a lot of sense focusing on youth who aren't targeted or aren't anticipating going to college or into the military. We want to give them opportunities through apprenticeship or work and learn to experience different occupations to see where their interest lies, and hopefully apprenticeship will follow. And finally, our MOU with the Department of Rehab Services. We have a longstanding relationship with, and the Division of Rehab Services is also one of our core partners in our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act grants. We have traditionally provided a 6-week summer employment program for up to 50 youth. Through their agency, Carroll County government acts as the employer of record in this grant, and we provide the administrative support to make that happen for the payroll.
Division of Rehab Services is Maryland, or is it?
Yes. So overall, our numbers that we're looking at this summer through our workforce summer youth program, we have $28,342. Our American Rescue plan is $1,100,979. Our WIOA total is $915,004, and the potential with the Doors Summer Youth would maximize at $150,000. Do you have any questions? That was a lot of information, sorry.
I had a chance to work with Denise years ago in many of these programs, and referring students to some of these programs. And these are game changers for a lot of kids, and I thank you for what you do for a lot of them. It really makes a difference in some of these kids' lives.
And for the businesses, too.
And
I mean,
business,
we've had
yeah.
very good feedback with the students. We've had students that have been hired. So obviously, yeah, like you said, it's a game changer for them, gives them a new opportunity and potential career path.
And the businesses in Carroll County are very supportive,
Yes.
Yes.
very much so.
Do we go after testimonials and, feedback that we can then share with those that are kind of on the edge of, do I participate in this or not? And then you'll realize, oh no, this is a game changer.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that we're trying to do
Marketing.
through our social media
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, it's all marketing. Okay. Wow. Okay.
With that, I move the Board of Commissioners accept the 22 Governor's Summer Youth Program Grant Award, the PY 22-23 ARPA Grant Award, and the 22-23 Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Formula Grant Awards, and the Doors MOU 22-24.
I'll second.
Who's going to second?
Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
More acronyms in this than all.
I know.
Sound like you're in the Army. Okay.
Thank you very much.
So much,
you.
ladies. Okay, let's talk about Westminster annexation, 404 Malcolm Drive. Ladies.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are here before you today with two back-to-back annexations in the city of Westminster. The first is Westminster Annexation Number 73, 404 Malcolm Drive. And here today from the city of Westminster is Andrea Gerhardt, as well as the property owner, Brian Eberly from Obrecht Properties, as well as his representation, Clark Schaefer. The second annexation that we're going to do back to back with this today is Westminster Annexation number 74, and that is the state's attorney's office. And John Bowers is here today for any additional questions regarding the annexation for the new state's attorney's building. So with that, I have Hannah Weber, a planner in comprehensive planning, that will present to you the information regarding these two annexations.
Okay. So if there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have Westminster Annexation number 73, 404 Malcolm Drive. Here we have the plat that was submitted with the annexation packet. The annexation area is owned by Main Street 3 LLC, and they are the petitioners of this annexation. The annexation area is approximately 3.8 acres, and locating ourselves, we are sandwiched in between Maryland's Route 97 and then 140 Village Road. On the left-hand map, you can orient yourself where we are in the corporate limits of Westminster. The gold and black outline represents the growth area boundary for the city, so you can see that the annexation area is inside the growth area for the city of Westminster. On the right-hand map, we have the annexation area, approximately 3.8 acres in the blue outline, the corporate limits in the red outline. You can see the annexation area is adjacent to the corporate limits, so we will not be creating an enclave with this annexation. Here we have an aerial map of the annexation area. The area is currently improved with commercial buildings, and it is where the old Army Reserve currently resides. This property is currently under the site plan process with the county. The development plan is proposing a medical center on the property. All applicable county and city agencies will have the opportunity to comment on the development plan. Looking at the zoning, we are currently zoned at C2 under the county commercial medium. The city has deemed it a B business zoning district in the city. Because the intensity of the commercial medium and business zoning districts are similar, there is no zoning waiver required, so there's no zoning waiver that was requested. The designated land use of the annexation area is commercial. This is taken from the 2007 Westminster Environs Community Comprehensive Plan. The requested zoning of business is consistent with the commercial designation. Moving on to water and sewer, we are in the existing water and sewer service categories taken from the Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan. This means that the city is currently serving the property with their water and sewer infrastructure. Agency comments: the Department of Planning is recommending the City of Westminster give public notice by posting the property prior to their public hearing and notifying all adjoining property owners. The Maryland Department of Planning sent in comments, and they have no outstanding comments that need to be addressed. This annexation was presented to the Planning Commission at their June 1st meeting, and they have a favorable recommendation forwarded to you all. The Department of Planning is also recommending support of this annexation. For today, we are here for a briefing or a decision if you're ready. We also have time reserved next Thursday, June 16th, for the approval of the comment letter, and that will bring us to the Westminster public hearing on June 27th.
Okay, thanks. You're learning where it's information and or decision,
Yes.
because if we're ready to
Whatever
make a
you want.
decision, let's not hold things up. But any comments, thoughts? I mean, you have most.
I would like to make a decision today if we're in agreement with that.
Along with
Okay.
that.
Then I'll make the motion that the board approves signing forward the comment letter to the City of Westminster regarding the Westminster annexation number 73-404 Malcolm Drive.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. I have no comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, excellent. All right.
Okay, sounds good. Moving on.
I'm sure you don't want to hear from me.
No.
Pretty sure.
If I was able to save them 50 cents, I'm happy.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have Westminster Annexation 74, the State Attorney's Office. We have the annexation plat that was submitted with the annexation packet to the county. As you know, this is owned by the county commissioners of Carroll County, and they are also the petitioners of this annexation. Locating ourselves, we are on the corner of Greenwood Avenue and Ralph Street, just up the road. The annexation area is approximately 0.21 acres, and it's kind of splits the parcel in half. The annexation area is shown in the bolder black outline. On the left-hand map, you can see where we are in the corporate limits of Westminster. The gold and black outline is the growth area boundary. So again, we are located in the city's growth area boundary. Going on to the right-hand map, the annexation area again is approximately 0.21 acres, shown in blue, and the corporate limits in red. Here you're able to see how the remaining part of the parcel is already incorporated into the city. So this annexation would just bring in the other area that's not already incorporated into the city. Here we have an aerial map. The entire parcel is improved with commercial buildings. The annexation area is predominantly used for parking. This property is also going through a site plan process with the county. The proposed development plan is for the new state attorney's office, and all applicable county and city agencies will have the opportunity to comment on the site plan at the appropriate time. Zoning, we have the annexation area is currently zone C2, commercial medium with the county. It is being requested in the city to be put into B business. Again, because the commercial medium and business zoning districts are similar in intensity, there's no zoning waiver required, so there is no zoning waiver requested. Designated land use for the annexation area is commercial. This was taken from the 2007 Westminster Environs Community Comprehensive Plan, and the requested zoning of business is consistent with the land use. Water and sewer, again, we are in the existing water and sewer service categories, so that means the city is serving this annexation area with their water and sewer. Agency comments, we have the same comment from the Department of Planning of giving public notice by posting the annexation area prior to the public hearing and notifying all adjoining property owners. The Maryland Department of Planning, we received their comments, and there's, again, no outstanding comments from them. This annexation was also presented to the Planning Commission on their June 1st meeting, and they forwarded a favorable recommendation to you all. The Department of Planning is recommending support of this annexation. And again, Westminster has their public hearing on the 27th.
Okay. Any questions, comments on this?
Is there what's the downside of zoning this into the city?
The downside of zoning,
Yeah, or annexing this into the city.
I don't think there's any downside to annexing it into the city.
And what's the benefit then?
I don't know if Andrea wants to speak to that.
Speak to the water and sewer. I think
Yeah.
it's a water allocation issue.
Water and sewer.
Right,
Yeah.
they have it.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, it's definitely a water and sewer issue as far as what the city would give for the allocation within the city versus being outside the city.
Right.
We also have an agreement with the city that will, as we develop, will annex this property into the city.
I mean, it's only an upside. It
yeah.
gives them the authority and responsibility of the property then. Okay, unless this is information, does somebody want to make a decision on this?
I make a motion the board approve, sign, and forward the comment letter to the city of Westminster regarding the Westminster annexation number 74, State's Attorney's Office.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion, I got a second. I have no comments on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to, I believe, take a pause. Bill, do we have everybody here that's going to be here, you believe, from the 29th? Is everybody, I'm asking, Bill, is everybody here that's going to be here, you think? Do we have everybody?
I think so.
Okay. Okay. So, gentlemen, whoever wants to come up and speak, what I'd like to do is take this opportunity. You can come up to the chair or to the seats.
First person would be First Sergeant Bill Rozier.
Okay.
And then Colonel Graff.
Okay. And why don't you gentlemen come on up to the table? So, Colonel, where you at? Yep. Why don't you just come on up to the table? So what I'd like to do is take this opportunity for Priority Carol to recognize the 78th anniversary of the D-Day landing, where we've given what we think the greatest generation to serve. Now understanding that 1% to 2% of those men and women in our country have the honor of putting on a uniform. And the 29th, the blue and gray, the yin and yang, provided that synergy, provided that, regardless of what I hear in other places, that unity that I believe is so true. And I will always say that the 29th, especially that patch, shows the unity in our country, not the division. But it's opportunity to recognize the 29th Infantry Division for all they have done. Prior to World War II, World War I, and from its inception to where it stands today, and continues to serve our state and our country. Because as I've been into both Iraq and Afghanistan, I've stood side by side with men and women of the Blue and Gray Division. But what I'd like to do before we get into discussion and get your insight is read the proclamation, which is just a handful of words, but more importantly, getting your input is going to be much more valuable. The 29th Infantry Division was founded in 1917 with regiments from Maryland and Virginia for service in World War I, and fought bravely in Alsace and Meuse-Argonne campaigns in France. And the 29th Infantry Division was again called into federal service on February 3rd, 1941 for World War II. In World War II, the 29th Infantry Division played a decisive role when it became part of the first and second waves of the U.S. assault forces on Omaha Beach, Normandy, France, in June 6, 1944, known as D-Day. The D-Day landings turned the tide of World War II and marked the beginning of the end of Nazi Germany. And the 29th Infantry Division fought in campaigns throughout northern France, Rhineland, and Central Europe until the final victory on May 11, 1945. And as America marks the 78th anniversary of the D-Day landing into World War II, many of the veterans and their families will visit Normandy American Cemetery, the final resting place for over 9,300 United States servicemen and commemorative services. And hundreds of veterans of the 29th Infantry Division reside in Carroll County, as well as many more who form the present-day 29th Division Association, who served in the global war on terrorism. We honor those who served and those who are still serving communities in Carroll County, Maryland, and their nation at home and overseas. Now, therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim its back date, June 6, 2022, to be 29th Infantry Division Day, in recognition of the 78th anniversary of the 29th Infantry D-Day landing in Carroll County, and urge all citizens to honor the service and sacrifice of these veterans. Adopted this second day of June 2022, signed by all of our commissioners. Colonel, First Sergeant, what are your opening comments, and then we can, I think we have more than a squad, almost a platoon here, and see who wants to provide their input. So,
Well,
sir?
first of all, we want to thank the commissioners for recognizing D-Day and the 29ers that served, not only during D-Day, but otherwise. As you've stated, there are a lot of 29ers from Carroll County. Many gave their lives. My uncle served in the 29th and was killed in France, Charles Singer from the Hampstead area. And I think too often people don't remember the greatest generation and what they did for us in helping to win the war in Europe. And so once again, thank you all for recognizing that and recognizing the men and women who still serve in the 29th, not only from Carroll County, but state of Maryland.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Colonel, first off, thank you and commissioners for your kind words. Just a little bit about the 29th, as you said, they were formed in 1917, but if we just want to talk about, since it's the anniversary, or a few days past the anniversary of D-Day, 29th suffered over 3,700 casualties killed in World War II, over 15,000 battle casualties, nearly 1,000 missing in action, and taken prisoner of war. So the 29th alone, on D-Day alone, suffered nearly 2,000 casualties on Omaha Beach itself. So it truly was the greatest generation. There's not many left, if there's any left at all. We just can't forget the 29th. And I think, as you kind of lean to, our history is, and it's probably off topic a little bit, but our history is in trouble. They want to do away with the 29th Infantry Division's history because of the blue and gray patch, which is just a travesty. History erased, is history forgotten, and you're doomed to repeat it. So again, I'm going to thank the commissioners, thank the 29ers. For me, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the 29th for all the years I did. And I'm just grateful. So again, thank you for the commissioners.
And Todd, there's no leaning to. I am very specific and very direct that this patch should stay. And there's a reason for the yin and yang and the blue and the gray, and it has to do with unity, not divisiveness or division. So there is no question about my comment on that.
Outstanding, sir.
Whether it happens that way is out of our control, but we should all voice our opinion on the importance of lineage and the importance of heritage that we hold so true. Because, yes, the 29th has gone through a lot for all the right reasons to make us who we are today. So,
absolutely, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The portraits you've provided over the years are displayed right outside our offices over here, and we see it every day.
Yep.
So,
sir.
Thank you.
Frank Rauschenberg, commander of the Post 48 here. Once again, I don't mean to be repetitious, but I want to thank you for your fine introduction of the 29th Division and the D-Day landing 78th anniversary here. If you would, I'd like to just introduce some of our veterans, if you would. Bill Marshall, I'm sorry, Bill Nash. Junior Fisher, many of you know Junior Fisher. And Charles Marshall, and Richard Stem, and Charles Foreman, and Dockery there. Yeah. So that's all I have to say.
No,
I will leave
fantastic.
you copies of the Save the Patch here with Mrs. Winham, if you would.
Yep, absolutely.
But other than that, thank you again for the proclamation.
Yes, sir. Does anyone else have anything to say? If not, why don't we get a picture, and we can go from there, okay?
One down, gentlemen.
Charlie? You might help Charlie up.
Thank you. This is for you. Try to age and be more. I'm here to support you, Frank. And the rest of it. Hold me up here. Absolutely. I've never seen you speechless.
Thank God for that.
Thank God.
Unless somebody's looking for you.
Name tags on uniforms.
Oh, thank you.
Take the tags off.
Sure, you can take the tags off.
Hey, don't rusty military.
Exactly. Tags on uniforms always bother me.
Unless you put me out here, sir.
Yeah.
You got more official than I do. I know, Frank, you look better with your glasses on, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir.
Good to see you.
Thanks, sir.
Hey, thank you for coming.
Hey, absolutely.
I'll give you Senator West yesterday on this item. Big supporter. That's fighting it.
Dave's young there. So that's you being exclusive.
Yeah, no, I know.
One for each of you.
I'm not going to.
It does stink.
Your childhood neighbor.
Oh, Burke? Charles Foreman. Oh, that's exactly right, yes. 7 children, neighbors?
That was a high point of our day.
It was a
So far.
I enjoyed that, obviously. I've been to Normandy a handful of times, and every time is a new time.
It is. It's very moving. Every American should go.
There's also a lot of other American cemeteries over there I've been to, and every time just
also-
seems like a new time.
I think it's also fascinating. There's a German cemetery that's just down the road. So different. The
Yeah.
American
Oh, yeah.
cemetery is so
Oh, yeah.
light with all the white, crosses and stars of
Yeah.
David and different things. And the German cemetery is all dark stone. It's under tree cover. It's just a very different feel. It's very interesting.
On Fort Meade, we have a post cemetery. Nobody's being interred anymore. We have Germans buried there along with Italians because they were prisoner of wars. But Fort Meade stood up in 1917, same time they did, and we had 3 or 5 divisions cantoned there, and then went out under Pershing. So, anyway, let's talk about something much more exciting than what we just talked about. Carroll County Strategic Traffic Safety Plan.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
And we have our own Eagle Scout.
Seems that when
coming
I
up.
appear before you guys, follows somebody much more important than me. Commissioner Wance was here, he'd tell you that doesn't take very much, but it's a nice proclamation you guys did for a very important group of folks.
Yep. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Doing well, yes.
So good morning.
Morning.
We're here today to present the Carroll County Strategic Traffic Safety Plan. This is a long time in coming. This started out with a request from, at the time, Secretary Pete Ron to the Board of County Commissioners for the county to develop a strategic traffic safety plan. At the time, we had a meeting and commitment from the Board of Commissioners and the Sheriff to proceed with the development of a plan. In order to develop a plan, we felt we needed a steering committee. We pulled together an executive steering committee, which sits today. The members are listed above there with the 4 E's in mind. Whenever we talk about traffic safety, we talk about engineering, education, enforcement, and EMS. One thing, when the EMS folks came to the table, they said, well, why do we need to be here? And I said, well, our goal is to put you out of the crash business. We don't, if we do what we need to do, you won't have to respond to any more serious crashes. So they said, okay, we know why we need to be here.
That's what I say about lawyers. Put them out of business. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I know.
When we met with the Highway Safety Office, when we first talked, they were asking us to do this. We said, we're very busy. We've got a lot of things on our plate. Aren't there some people to help us? And they came back and said, yes. They have a position. You see Cindy Birch there with Baltimore Metropolitan Council. Her position is funded by the Maryland Highway Safety Office, and her role was to assist us and do the heavy lifting, the writing, all the stuff that we didn't have time to do to develop the plan, pull the data, do all the data analysis. So she was a very big help in the development of this plan. So this was the group also that developed the emphasis areas that we'll talk about in a little bit. Maryland has a strategic highway safety plan. However, we have very few miles of interstate, and when people talk about highways, they're like, well, this doesn't apply to Carroll County. So we needed a plan that met our needs. So one of the first things we did was we changed the name. So it is a Carroll County Traffic Safety Plan. It applies to all roadways within Carroll County. We looked at many plans. We looked at the state plan. We looked at other county plans. We looked at other jurisdictions. And we didn't want to go and find, replace, change name to meet Carroll County. We wanted a plan that met the county needs and that was based on data. And we'll talk a little bit about the data. We did have a concern. Our plan does not follow exactly how the state plan does about state funding. However, we've been assured and we're continuing to receive the state funding as long as we have an adopted plan.
So when we first started out, commissioners, the goal was towards 0 deaths. So we started looking at our fatals throughout the county over a specific time period from 2016 until current. And what we saw was that although we had a number of fatal crashes that weren't acceptable in the county, we weren't able to identify roadways that we needed to specifically focus on. So for example, we saw roadway 31 that had a large number of fatal crashes on it. However, if we looked at the data, we saw that one specific fatal crash was 4 occupants. So that really made that roadway look like it was a very unsafe roadway. And we needed to focus a lot of attention there. But through our own knowledge and experience in working with different roadways in the county, we said, well, there are other roadways we really need to focus on, not just one specific roadway based on a number of fatalities that have occurred on that roadway. So we actually expanded our, we broadened our data to include fatals and serious injury crashes. And that really gave us a broad overview of where we needed to focus our attention. So if you look at the chart we have up here, we looked at fatal crashes, injury crashes, property damage crashes, and then the total number of crashes, and we kind of mapped them out, and it gave us an idea of where we needed to focus our attention rather than just simply focusing on fatal crashes. So we got together with a planning group, and we said, well, let's look at our crashes and let's look at where specifically Carroll County needs to focus our emphasis areas. The state plan, their emphasis areas were distracted driving, impaired driving, the infrastructure, occupant protection, so seatbelt safety, child safety seat usage, pedestrian and bicyclist, and speed and aggressive driving. So when we were looking at the state plan, we thought, well, some of those emphasis areas don't really meet the needs of Carroll County. So, for example, we don't have a lot of pedestrian and bicycle fatalities or serious injuries in here. Not that it doesn't happen, not that we don't have a few a year, but certainly not as many as Baltimore City might have, or other urban areas where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic or bicycle traffic. So we looked at that data and we said, well, that really doesn't apply to us. So as Chris said, we didn't want to just copy a state plan and change the name from Maryland to Carroll County, because there were things that just weren't applicable to us. So we got together and looked at the state emphasis areas, and we said, well, some of these just don't align with Carroll County. So we actually came up with our own emphasis areas that were applicable to Carroll County, those being distracted driving, roadway infrastructure, impaired driving, age. So we want to focus on older and younger drivers. We have a very diverse population of drivers in the county, and then speed. So we felt that those were the areas that were important to focus on in our plan. They meet the needs of the county. They are easily identifiable based on our data, and those emphasis areas will allow us to focus on the state's enforcement calendar. So, in other words, we're already receiving grant money to enforce speed. We're already receiving grant money to enforce impaired driving. We're already receiving grant money to enforce distracted driving. So it allows us to remain on state and national funding calendars in order to enforce those without asking the board for additional funding.
Some of those areas that are in the state plan, there are sub areas of it in our emphasis areas. So once we had our emphasis areas, we needed to develop our strategies and action steps. In order to do that, we decided to have a summit. Something a lot of jurisdictions had not done before, something that is catching on. Dave and I have gone and spoken a couple different jurisdictions about how we developed the summit. You can see this very long list of folks that attended the summit. The list was even longer who were invited. And these are the folks that came together to develop our next steps, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Some people say, why are some of these folks here? Bureau of Aging, because we talked about our age emphasis area. Liquor Board, because we talk about driving under the influence. state's attorney for the enforcement of the adjudication. You can write the ticket, but whether you get the appropriate adjudication. The state agencies and also towns and municipalities were also included in this. One thing to note, we just received guidance on the new federal grant for highway safety. This type of input of the community and our stakeholders is a requirement in order to apply for those grants. So I don't know how we came up with this, but we're meeting those requirements that just came out last week, I guess. So as you see, we had our agenda. We had some keynote speakers that came, the sheriff, commissioner. We had the MVA administrator give a speech, and also the highway safety office director came and also spoke to the group. And then they broke out into emphasis area groups. Each of these emphasis area groups were multidiscipline. We just didn't have law enforcement in the speeding. We had the engineering, and we had the EMS, and we had the education also in all of the emphasis areas. They each were facilitated, and in the morning they developed the strategies based on the emphasis areas. What strategies does Carroll County need in order to work in these emphasis areas to get that number to 0? So we came back after lunch. We did provide lunch. It was a very good lunch.
You have to provide lunch at these or people won't
Yes.
come. So.
When people were voluntold to attend, they walked in and was like, "Why are we here?" "Well, we'll have a good lunch." "Okay, we're good to go." So during lunch, all the emphasis areas got to see the strategies that were developed in the morning from all the other groups. And so their afternoon activity was to develop action steps for each one of those strategies. How are we going to implement these things? How are we going to get that number to 0?
So what we looked at is each emphasis area. So, for example, we would look at infrastructure. And one of the strategies was to identify high crash corridors and figure out countermeasures to reduce collisions or serious fatal injuries at that. And then they would develop an action step. So, for example, we would annually analyze data to determine crash causes at those locations. So we looked at those goals, those emphasis areas and strategies, and we developed targets to over a course of 20 years to reduce crashes at those locations and set target goals and trend lines, which you can see up here on the screen, to eventually by 2040 reach 0 deaths, which is the goal of the plan overall. Some may say that's an unattainable goal. We think that with some hard work and outside the box thinking, we are able to reach that goal of 0 deaths on county roadways.
The state is a zero deaths state, so all the legislation is based on that. All the requirements of the plans required to be to 0. So what are our next steps? This is a 5-year plan. It's a living document. The executive committee will continue to meet to implement these action steps and strategies. We talked about the Safe Streets Roads federal grant. That just came out. Unfortunately, there's a minimum of a $3 million project. That's the minimum size of a project. So we're looking at that. But we do believe that our plan does meet, with your commitment and approval today, the requirements of the federal grants. There are state projects and state funding sources, and they require us to have a plan also. So having an approved plan will open up other additional opportunities. And I suspect in the future, even some of the funding sources that we have that are coming today, the plan will be required in order to continue those funding sources.
Just a question, last couple of years, the numbers did come down. Is COVID enter into that, you think, as far as lack of people on the road?
So sure, and we saw that even with crime trends, Commissioner, that, the less people that are out, obviously, the less crash you're going to have, less crime you're going to have.
Did you factor that in, you think? Or?
So actually, we didn't, because a lot of our data, the data lags. So most of our data ends, current data that we have ends at 2020. So in other words, we haven't gotten data that has gone through the pandemic period yet. That will come in, and I assume that it will show that things have gone down. But when we look at the plan, again, it's a living document. So as we look at the plan, we certainly will factor that into consideration, that traffic was less. So we would assume that we would see less crashes during the pandemic and the shutdowns.
Unfortunately, the state in some of their areas, especially I think it was the 495 corridor, because there wasn't as much traffic, people were traveling at higher speeds, so therefore their crashes were more serious. They were seeing some more serious crashes at times they typically would not have because there was previously congestion.
Were you also looking seasonal?
Seasonal is a factor. Weather. There are many factors that go into this. We had even looked at a corridor approach to a plan to see if that was most appropriate. We decided not to go that way, but to go on the more emphasis areas, so it was cover all roadways. But our projects some will be identified as corridors.
One more time, and I apologize going back. The participants of this group.
These are the participants who attended the summit. There were a lot more that were invited. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Community. How did you reach out to the community? There are advocacy groups, some more animated than others, as we know. Some larger than others that have gotten themselves established through their own bylaws, like Finksburg and Freedom District. They have, large groups.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if Westminster has a larger advocacy group. I imagine there, is something, but how do you reach out to the communities for their input into this?
I mean, a lot of these agencies work with those community partners already. The Chesapeake Regional Safety Council was also there. All our partner agencies work with those community groups and are aware of, we all meet with them in regards to different issues and things like that. We are working, with the Department of Planning with their transportation plan.
Yep.
This will be a part of that. So definitely not excluding the county, the community at all. With this.
So in addition to that, Commissioner Rothstein, I assume that you talk about the Freedom District.
Yep.
So part of this plan and the development of this plan and who we have on the board on the Planning Commission, the Planning Board, is law enforcement, different county representatives. Because you see us there, that we attend your town hall meetings, all the commissioners' town hall meetings. So we get the input back from the citizens on what they're seeing in their communities, and we will take that back to the planning committee as we need to redevelop this plan. So we receive a lot of input through the community, not only direct communication that they have with, for example, my office, but through the town hall meetings that you all have and the concerns that we hear that they bring up. So a lot of that is input that we just get back and forth from those different venues.
And I agree, and I appreciate that. The challenge is that they feel the community has the right to be at the table and has the confidence that that information is being shared through the summit, that their input, and because as opposed to saying, well, I wasn't there, but they should have the confidence that their information is being shared and is being, added to the summit, I think is important, because out of sight, out of mind. If people don't see, somebody there, they're like, well, he's not working or she's not working. No, they are. You just don't see them, type of thing. So, okay.
I think at the group that we have, and Cindy from BMC mentions this a lot, that, she works with other jurisdictions, and she comes to us and she's always amazed at the relationships that we have and the information sharing and the sheriff's office has a complaint log. We get that monthly. And, those are citizen complaints, so we're aware of where those complaints are. And that information's not shared. I was actually at a national conference 2 or 3 years ago and spoke with somebody in Oregon, and he was talking about a safety plan, and he wanted to get the sheriff's input in Oregon. I want to say Oregon now, and that sheriff did not want anything to do with it. Didn't want anything to do with traffic safety. Didn't care. And I'm like, what do you mean? It was foreign to me. And it's completely opposite of what we have here.
Yeah.
I like the plan, the safety
Yeah,
plan. I
yeah.
do agree. The next summit, you might want to include a few HOA people or something in this, just to get some input, people involved. But the plan has to come together, and I commend you guys for what you've done. You're looking at the safety, you're looking at everything's going on. And with that, I move the Board of Commissioners accept the Carroll County Strategic Traffic Safety Plan for review and approval and adoption as the official traffic safety plan for Carroll County.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion, I got a second. With this, I agree. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I do have a question. Outside of this, when you're talking about infrastructure, there are parts of again, I'm most familiar with the southern part of the county. There are parts of where 32 and 26 are that they're either blind spots or the congestion. And it's not the road, it's the property. And, it's where I believe it's not personal property, I still believe it may be state property, how to level it out. Like the Johnsville 26 intersection, is a great example. It's a blind spot, at the light. How do we get state, and that may be something to talk to more with State Highway about. 32 going up to 26 by the Exxon station, making that right. There's that house right there. Again, it causes congestion right before that Exxon station, which causes a lot of anxiety. So where I'm going to is when we talk about infrastructure, it's not just the road. It's the road and the surrounding area and the easements of that road that may be looked at being modified to take care of that, that area. So.
And I think that's a good point, Commissioner, when you bring up to include the Freedom District folks. They're the ones that can tell us exactly what you just did. We don't always drive that area. So what better resource to tell us that information than the folks that drive it every day?
And Marysville 2, you cannot do anything about Marysville 2 except the road itself, because there is no sides to it. And that is a major concern with the property development down there.
We're just thinking of putting up big road closed signs down there. We think that'll alleviate the issues.
Or put a drawbridge on 26 at
Yes.
Liberty Reservoir? No. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you so much.
If we go back to gravel roads all throughout the county, this is solved, right?
You said that when Commissioner Wance is not here today.
He's not here.
I hear him yelling now.
Hey, by the way, very impressive graduate you had, so congratulations, Dad.
Thank you very much. We're very proud.
Applied mathematics is where his son,
that right?
his son is doing. So yes.
Applied mathematics and chemistry.
Where's he going?
University of Delaware, Honors College.
Blue Hen, fighting blue hens.
Yes, sir.
President of the Honor Society.
I know.
You can't spell honor, I know.
I cannot spell AP, so don't worry about it. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about the Chapter 155, Development and Subdivision of Land, Proposed Code Modifications.
No.
No?
How about Charles Carroll Community Center project change orders?
I apologize. Huh.
It's the last page, basically, in what you just flipped over.
Oh, yep, thank you. What he said, Charles Carroll Community Center project change orders. Thanks. I was just all excited to get to Chapter 155. Sorry about that.
I know, it's going to be exciting.
We'll try to be brief. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you for your time this morning. Joining me this morning is Eric Burdine, Deputy Director, Public Works, Kurt Engel, Project Manager for Charles Carroll Community Center. We're here before you today to request your approval for a series of change orders in excess of the $100,000 agency's approval authority. The change orders are for items of unanticipated and unforeseen site conditions within the footprint of the community center building and needed to be reconciled to provide adequate soil-bearing capacity to support the structure. Other change orders are owner-related change orders with respect to primarily the building.
What does that mean?
There's some change orders that were specific to, say, the gymnasium. Basketball hoop extenders was one that would make the basketball hoops on the cross courts be able to lower and raise those. There was a water system also for the gymnasium. But the project's moving forward. We're on budget, we're on schedule, and no additional funds are needed to pay the contractor for these change orders. And we're here to answer any questions that you may have. And again, thank you for your time.
How are you on budget if you're requesting $100,000 more in change orders?
They're not asking for it. Go ahead, you explain.
We have exceeded our threshold for what we can approve by the Bureau of Building Construction. However, the money that we are asking for approval is within our budget. So when we came before the commissioners back in the fall of last year requesting additional funding to pay for the project, these kind of costs were anticipated in the overall project budget.
Okay.
It's just part of that delegation of authority document that the commissioners have that currently limits project change orders to $100,000. Anything above that has to come back to the board for review and approval, and it can't be extending the scope of the project. So if if the building in this case were 2,000 square feet, it can't make it 3,000 square feet. So without board approval. So these change orders don't have anything to do with scope change. It's merely, most of it is site work.
Yes.
There was stuff found under the soil that we didn't know was going to be there, like the old burnt building.
Are you anticipating other increases due to cost inflation, things happening before you get finished?
Yes.
Quite a few.
Yeah. There will be further change orders that come about that we are anticipating.
Notice that lack of hesitation in that response.
I think it's happening everywhere. And
Yeah,
you're just seeing it.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's no reason to hesitate on that. I mean, it's just everywhere. It's hitting us in all facets as a hairy homeowner that may be going out to Lowe's or Home Depot and getting stuff for projects that they want to do. But just to piggyback a little bit on what Roberta had said, 80% of this threshold of 100 was allocated to just unforeseen stuff that was underneath that soil from when the demo happened back in 2016. So just, obviously there has to be proper fill to put back, and when they're digging and they're finding parts of a burnt school building from 1928, which is when it burned down, old cistern was in place, an old grease trap, and that was all underneath pavement that was there. And nobody, in all honesty, would have known that it was there. So obviously those things need to be removed so that we have suitable fill, so that when we put this structure on there, everything is compacted and properly done. So it's not something that I welcomed by any means, but unfortunately it was every other day I was getting a call saying, hey, we found this, we found that. So
Anything of value that could be sold for $100,000?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, besides grease traps. Okay.
Yeah. Commissioner Wance went over to see if Charles Carroll was actually buried there. We were hoping that maybe.
Kind of scary.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't know if anyone's had a chance to stop up to the site. I think Commissioner Wance, who I know has a vested interest, has been up there a couple times, but things are moving along very well. The stone is down currently for the pad. So they're expecting to pour the pad next week, and the building's coming in on the 20th to be delivered. So we are moving along.
The building's prefab?
Yes, sir.
Coming in on the 20th of this month.
Yes.
Wow.
Be open by Labor Day, right?
Of what year?
I didn't say what year.
So when the pad is poured, I mean, how long is it going to take to cure and to settle and, I mean, before you put the building on top of it?
Well, there's compaction testing that we have to do through third party and so forth. You know, core samples of the concrete.
Right.
You know, those usually take, you know, between 3 days, 7 days. They do it at different intervals.
Yeah.
So there'll be a little bit of a time frame there, but it's not going to be long before they start erecting.
Wow, I'm just curious more than anything. That's, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll move the Board of Commissioners approve Charles Carroll Community Center project construction change orders in the amount of $108,279.80.
Second.
I got a motion in 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
absolutely. Okay, now let's move to Chapter 155, Development and Subdivision of Land. Proposed code modifications. Hello.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Hello. Hi, Laura.
So I am here with Laura Matthias, who's the Bureau Chief of Development Review. Her bureau, as they work through the process of assisting developers in site development and subdivision in the county, are guided by Chapter 155 of the Carroll County Code. Chapter 155 is specific to subdivision and site development. So as you can imagine, as through the years, as her staff have been working with citizens and developers, they make note of things that are unclear or people are confused about and so on, and some things have become outdated. And so for the past year, Laura and her staff have been working on documenting draft changes to the code. Because Chapter 155 is within the purview of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the county code requires that any proposed modification to the code needs to be formally sent to the Planning and Zoning Commission by yourselves. And so that's why we're here today, is Laura is going to give a brief presentation as to the substance of the types of changes that we're looking to make. And we're asking for your guidance to, or permission to then engage the Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll work with them through however many work sessions and so on, so they fully understand all the changes that we're proposing. And then once we have agreement with them on the changes, we'll come back to you all for as many discussions as you would like to have regarding the changes, and then a public hearing, and then hopefully adoption. So if you have any questions on process and why we're here, happy to answer that, but otherwise I'll turn it over to Laura to talk for a couple minutes about what we're looking to change.
All right, I'll take it from there. Thank you, Chris. I kind of think you should have bought the trophy back as a prop, maybe. It's spectacular.
I thought of bringing the small trophy, but
Hey, you should bring it to every future LRM presentation, just to remind the commissioners, look, we're wonderful.
get a chain and hang it from my neck.
So thank you. That was a great introduction, and exactly what my bureau staff, we've been working very hard, as Chris said, to identify things in our code that we just think could be a lot more clear. Okay, so I'm just going to go through, there's a few slides here, and hopefully it's just a good overview for you. We're really going to get into the depths of it with the Planning Commission, and then when we come back before you. So these are the three objectives that we have. We do have a development review manual, which looks like this. It's this thick. And that is part of our code. The code, Chapter 155, does reference the manual. So we want to take whatever content is necessitated to put into the code, and we're going to absorb that into the code and onto the website for full accessibility to the contents of this. Reconfiguring Chapter 155 so that it just reads very clearly to anybody that's opening that code, especially for the first time, and revise for clarity and predictability as well. So the manual itself that I just spoke of, you can tell from the pictures, even on the cover, it's been around for a while. It was established in 2004, and it has not been updated. And in really taking a good hard look at this manual, there are over 100 pages in it. You'll see it's actually thicker than these 3 code sections, but there's only about 6 pages of unique content in the manual. In today's day and age, where everybody's going to the internet for their answers, we have the rest of this is mostly on the internet for people to access. Codes, checklists, forms, you'll see that. So, and because it's codified, if we want to change the manual, we would have to go through a process to then do that code change. So with this update, we're going to retire the manual and select contents. As I said, they will be pulled into Chapter 155. They will be web-based content, which a lot of it already is. And we're going to establish a technical memorandum on our website that can be accessed. So if you can imagine, this is very similar to design specs that an engineer would be able to go to and pull off of the website and utilize. So what we are taking and bringing into Chapter 155, there is a simplified site plan process, which you're all probably familiar with the term. It's only in the manual right now. We're bringing that into the code. We're proposing that. There are some definitions as well, and driveway requirements. And here we're talking about use in common driveways.
We have to have them?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry.
They're painful.
I will say that the most discussion occurred around use in common driveways. Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Your name was mentioned as well in a lot of this. So,
Good way.
the technical memorandum, as I said, here's a good example. We call these plates. They also appear in DPW's manual. So plates were related to driveways and aprons. We are updating those, renumbering those. We're going to bring those online in the technical memorandum, and then that can be updated as necessitated. Again, web-based information, forms that are in this manual that are already online, a lot of our standard questionnaires, checklists, applications. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but this shows our reorganization for clarity purposes. So on the left, you'll see the existing code. On the right is the proposed. We did add a couple of subsections. So development of land is overall, we shuffled things around, okay? We didn't remove things and add things willy-nilly. We moved things to make sense. So development of land then covers everything. Then we go into subdivision if you want to subdivide. Here is everything that falls into that. Here's what you can do and how you can do it. Site plans as well. We created a new section for site plans. It was kind of scattered throughout the code previously. We said if you want to do a site plan, here's where you're looking. And we changed particular areas, which is also kind of tricky to say, particular, to match in the zoning code. It does call those specific areas, so we changed the language there. So next steps, as Chris mentioned, are to go in front of the Planning Commission to give this overview and then to really look into exactly what is proposed within the code. That could take, right now we have scheduled 2 different sessions. We were on 2 different agendas with them in the month of June. They're both in June 21st and June 29th. We'll extend that into July if need be. And once they have their recommendations, we will come back before you to go into the same process.
So I'm not sure what decision we need to make. It's informational going to the planning and zoning, and then after that it's coming back to us. I mean, you don't need permission to staff
Yes, you do.
Actually, we do.
So the code, interestingly enough, in chapter 158,
up the
yes,
code.
it's a referral to planning commission. So the county commissioners shall refer these proposed code changes to the planning commission for review and comment.
Okay, I apologize.
No, it's
Now,
just,
we were a little surprised by it too, but.
yeah, it's state law, and the, anything that has planning related, the Board of Commissioners has to agree that you want to move forward with this, even at a high level at this point. I mean, you're not agreeing to all the changes.
Right.
But are you interested? The question is basically, are you interested in opening up Chapter 155 and
To allow the Planning and Zoning Commission to take a look at it and make their recommendations, to come back to us, to say, okay.
Yes.
I was surprised by the code as well, but I think that the scenario that it's trying to protect is to keep you all from just changing the code without actually having referred it to the Planning Commission for review.
Well,
so it's that protecting
Actually, I
that
think
scenario.
it's, well, it could be that way, but I actually think it's the other way, personally,
Okay.
is to make sure that the Board of County Commissioners is well aware of what, the changes that staff are recommending, and want to make
I
sure
get
that they
you,
want to
and
go
I
forward
just-
with that.
In my
Yeah.
simple mind, it's just staffing.
I have the
And
same simple mind.
Staff should staff. But, okay, no problem.
A step in the process.
Yep.
I'll make the motion, the Board of County Commissioners direct staff to coordinate discussions with the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding the modifications to Chapter 155 of the County Code.
Second.
I got a motion, I got a second. I got no more comment on this one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you in favor?
I was.
Okay.
Really? Okay, let's talk about proposed optical fiber enhancements at various emergency communication towers. Gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
And no, we don't have any gorgeous awards to share with you this morning.
Hard to believe.
That was nice. Commissioners, as the brief indicates, we're here today with proposed security enhancements for, and I specifically worded it, 4 of the towers that make up our 11-tower network. And ultimately, the measure we're proposing today are a necessary step for us to reach new security levels that eventually will be present at all of the towers that our network operates from. The improvements would be 100% funded by a combination of FFY20 UASI and FFY20 SHSP, or State Homeland Security Program grant funds, that were specifically proposed as a project and have been approved, should you approve for us to use them for this purpose. So we know we can do this if you authorize. If you give us permission, we know we can use the funds to do this. As I note in the brief, there are 4 sites, 3 of which have the same costs. One is more expensive because that particular site doesn't have some of the existing infrastructure that the other 3 do. That's why the price is different. So specifically, we're asking to be able to utilize a total of $56,340 of existing grant funds. No monies from the county are necessary to proceed in order to make what we are saying are enhanced optic fiber related enhancements at 4 of our towers. And I respectfully ask that we not get into the specific sites for that very reason. This is something we're going to do, and I don't think anyone would benefit from us talking about what our capabilities, our security measures are at or not at different sites.
Existing towers?
Yes, sir. We have 11 towers in our network, and this would make the improvements that are necessary for an ultimate upgraded security measure that we're pursuing for all the towers. And the only reason it's 4 is because that's how much money we have to spend. If we had more funding, we would be proposing more, but we're pursuing this as grant funds become available.
Can I ask if this is physical security to the tower so people don't climb up and cut things, or is this like technical
Monitoring
security?
capability, I think, would cover to be
Say it
able
again?
to. Monitoring capability would, I think, is a safe way to put it. We have a certain level of ability at all our towers, and this is necessary in order to significantly enhance that. It's a good question.
We received grant money FY20. Do we have FY21 grant money?
We receive it's a great question, Commissioner. We receive allocations annually, but they have multi-year performance periods. That's why this is a situation to where the spending plan for the 2 grants that I mentioned, that's where it identified that what was proposed in those grants was achieved, and these monies remain are available.
Okay. Cool.
I'll make the motion that the Board of County Commissioners approve the $56,340 of optical fiber enhancements as proposed and authorize the Director of Public Safety to approve the payment of the bill.
Second.
I got a motion, got a second. I got no comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you,
Gentlemen,
Commissioners.
you.
And Commissioner, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, Ms. Hawkins was listed as being here today. I had put her on here. I was not aware that she had a prior commitment. She offered to change that, and I told her by no means that I knew you would understand her not being here since she manages those funds.
No
So he
problem.
brought me
Thank you.
instead.
Thank you.
You did well without her, but
Okay, let's talk about annual renewal of maintenance and support for the Mitchell-Humphrey Financial Management System.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We are here to request your approval for the renewal of maintenance and support for the Mitchell-Humphrey Financial System in the amount of $59,350 for the 1 year. And I'll turn it over to Charlie if you have any questions.
Good morning, Commissioners. Charlie Beckhart with Technology Services. This is the routine renewal of the annual maintenance agreement for the financial management software, which includes support, fixes, software upgrades. As you're well aware, this is used by the entire organization and covers general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, purchasing, fixed assets, and the like, and the related reporting, and everything's in order on this.
You have to do it annually. You can't do it 2 years, 3 years, 5 years.
Let me draw a distinction between software maintenance agreements where we're talking about a product that is proprietary versus buying a commodity where we may have choices in who we can do business with if we're buying, reams of paper, or even certain software support like, say, Microsoft, a very, widespread, pervasive product where there are multiple opportunities to get support. In this case, our financial management system is manufactured, designed by Mitchell-Humphrey. They're the only ones who do that. They're the only ones who support it. So, so one of the things that we have done in order to mitigate price increases is, in this case, way back when we instituted this maintenance agreement, we throttle the increase in lockstep with the CPI, so that their increases are justifiable according to the cost increases that they're actually experiencing. So that's done very well for us over time.
Okay. No, that's good. I appreciate the recognition of doing that and figuring out, okay, what is best for the county in using our resource, our dollars in this. So, thank you.
I move the Board of Commissioners approve the annual maintenance support for the Mitchell-Humphrey Financial Management System in the amount of $59,350.
Second.
I got a motion, got a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, let's talk about purchasing 3 LifePak 15 cardiac monitor and defibrillators. Maureen, you're 1 for 1.
I'm going to try or go, 2 for 2. Okay, we are here to request your approval to award the purchase of 3 LifePak 15 cardiac monitor and defibrillators from Stryker Medical in the amount of $110,228.01. This purchase is being made through a Maryland state contract that was competitively bid. It is in the adopted budget, and no additional funds should be necessary. And I will turn it over to Michael if you have any questions.
And
As previously approved by the commissioners, we'll be adding the shift commander and the 2 chase cars. These will be the cardiac monitor defibrillators that will be assigned to those vehicles, and we want to order those as quickly as possible because of the supply chain issues. And this will coincide with our hiring process.
Well, you have a minute. How about introducing your 2
Yes,
partners
and
in
I've
crime?
also brought with me my 2 new officers that I'd like to introduce to the commissioners. First is Michael Stoner. Michael comes to us from Howard County, where he retired as a battalion chief, and Mike is responsible for our EMS operational program, and he's hit the ground running and already overwhelmed, but he's enjoying it.
It's okay. It's a good thing.
And Kevin Fox. Kevin comes from us from the Frederick County Fire Service, where he retired as a deputy chief about a year ago, and then he worked at Mount St. Mary's as their director of preparedness. Both of these gentlemen are extremely qualified and experienced, and they're already assets to our program, and you'll be seeing more of them in the future.
Fantastic. Welcome and thank you for your service that you've done and your continued service to the county. So, okay.
I'll make the motion the Board of Commissioners award the purchase of 3 LifePak 15 cardiac monitor and defibrillation from Stryker Medical in the amount of $110,228.01.
Second.
I got a motion. I have a second. I got no comments on this one. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Try to negotiate the 1 cent off, would you?
Okay, do we have any public comments out there? It's really faint. Okay, he said nothing, right?
Did I hear anything yet?
Okay. I don't have that, okay. Any administrative comments? Gentlemen? No? Okay, let's go right into agendas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning again. Okay, Monday, June 13th, there is nothing scheduled. June 14th at 11 o'clock, Commissioner Frazier will be attending the Therapeutic Rec and Flag Day at the Farm Museum. There will be also a Flag Day, or I'm used to saying Army Birthday, but Flag Day ceremony at the Farm Museum.
I'm going to be attending one of those. I'm just not sure which one I agreed to yet. I'll have to go back and check.
Frazier, Commissioner Wance and I will be attending, and then there's an Ag Center board meeting that evening as well at 7. I feel like there's something else, so that's okay. On June 15th, Wednesday, Board of County Commissioners and Emergency Services Advisory Council meeting, where we all will be attending at 7 p.m.
Joint meeting.
On Thursday, June 16th, we go into open session at 9. We will talk about renewal of a memorandum, MOU between County Commissioners and the Maryland Classified Employees Association, Incorporated.
Is that a union?
It looks like a union to me.
I believe it is.
There are about 3 members, and it's been in effect for years and years and years.
Right. I remember doing this in the past.
We no longer will be talking about the annexations of State's Attorney or Malcolm Drive. We've completed that. We'll go into Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area Boundary Adjustment. Ms. Eisenberg will talk to us about that.
Changing Civil War?
A lot of things are changing. Approval to order roof supplies from our FY23 budget for planned replacement over SkyTech roof. Purchase of replacement of UV light channel over at South Carroll Wastewater Treatment Plant. A lot of things happening. Replacement of bridge, Shepherd's Mill Road over Little Pipe Creek. Execution of supplemental bond resolutions. Ms. Hobbs will talk us through that. program open space allocation to municipalities. Mr. Deggets will walk us through that. Annual maintenance and support renewal for the Carroll County Public Network. Looking forward to hearing from Mr. Ripper. Court Smart Support Services. Again, Mr. Ripper will be talking to us through that. I'll be attending the Fort Meade Alliance annual meeting that evening at 5 p.m. On Friday, Commissioner Frazier will be attending the local management board meeting at 8:30 in the morning. Saturday, have nothing. Sunday, the Maryland State Firemen's Association Convention. Commissioner Wance will be attending. Where's that held? Is that in Ocean City or
I
someplace?
think so.
I believe it is.
And then Commissioner Wance will be doing the podcast that morning. I think I'm scheduled now on this upcoming Monday to be with Mr. Deggets to talk about
Piney Run.
The unemployment situation over there with, I don't know what station, WBAL?
Franciotti, I don't know which one she's on.
So they asked if I said, okay. So the following week, on Monday, June 20th, I guess goes through the 23rd, Commissioner Wance will continue to participate in Maryland State Firemen's Association Convention. On the 20th, the county will be closed in observance of the Juneteenth commemoration. On Tuesday, right now there's a scheduled Chamber of Commerce breakfast that I will be participating in. I thought that was canceled. I'm not sure, but if we can find out, we're moved. Planning Commission, it has Commissioner Wance attending. Obviously, he will not be attending because he'll be at the other event, so we need to fill in one of us. We could think through that. Walk in the Park over at Woodbine, Commissioner Boucher and Frazier will be participating at 2 p.m. And then Commissioner Weaver and I will be attending the Veterans Advisory meeting on Tuesday, June 21st. I always thought they're on Thursdays. But on Wednesday, Carroll County Board of Education at 5 p.m. Commissioner Frazier?
Find out if that's a regular monthly meeting, because if it's not, I'm not going to be there, because we already had a meeting this month.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what that is.
Thursday, June 23rd, we go into open session. There's a few things we have scheduled. Transferring funds for the annual housing bond allocation for citizen services. Approval of Meadow Branch Road construction prior to FAA grant application. Fiscal Recovery Fund update from Mr. Ripper. And then Water and Sewer Master Plan Spring Amendment.
That's not just Mr. Ripper, that's the committee that.
It's the group, it's not just.
Yeah, we'll change that.
Okay.
That's the whole.
On Saturday, 50th anniversary of Hurricane Agnes commemoration at the flood zone. Interesting topic. Union Bridge.
I don't remember
you and
agreeing to go into that one. Let's check that. I don't think that should be on my calendar.
Okay. So Commissioner Wance will be going to the Hurricane Agnes. Boy, do I remember that. Up in Jersey, at least. And then Commissioner Frazier, you have the podcast on the 26th.
I don't remember agreeing to that. And I'm just kidding.
I still have to do mine. I'm late. Okay. Is there anything else for open admin or agendas? Wanda?
No.
I need a motion, recess and go into closed.
Make a motion to go into closed for land acquisition, I think it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to adjourn after the closed session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.